So welcome everyone. Thanks for participating in my presentation this morning, and thanks for your patience on getting technology organised. So I know that you guys did a digital unit last week with Linda. So this is a little bit of an extension on that, but it's also specific to the transport industry. So normally when I'm doing a delivery or presentation class, I ask you to put your phones away and to concentrate and give me full attention. However, today, because we are working on operate digital technology, digital devices, I actually want you to have your phones, because there's going to be times I'm going to put it to you and ask you to use your phone to do some research and to come up with some answers and just, you know, make this as interactive and engaging as possible. So obviously using digital devices is what we do day to day. However, when you go into a job or a specific industry, you're going to have to use devices in those jobs as well. So this presentation is specific to the transport industry. What we're going to cover is digital devices used in the transport industry, how to prepare the workplace or the office or your truck, which is going to be your office, logging on to digital devices, basic features, hardware and software, customization and apps, and digital technology in transport and logistics, and assistance on road technology. So what we're going to look at first up is digital devices in the transport industry. So I'm going to throw to you guys, and I'm going to get you to tell me what you think a digital device is, or what digital devices you may currently use. And then on top of that, what devices you may need to use in the transport industry. Tablets. Yeah, excellent. Yeah. And what would you use a tablet for, like, as a truck driver? What sort of things?
Monitor the times, the stops, breaks.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, awesome.
Load,
Yeah,
not loading.
yeah, excellent.
What's in the order of the truck?
Yeah, the logistics side of it. Excellent.
So a piece of technology that helps work easier or help you conduct your
Monitor,
tasks easier.
helps monitor.
GPS.
GPS devices, yeah, excellent, yeah. So back to that, you were saying like maybe a device that helps you to organise what you're doing and that sort of thing, and management of your jobs and stuff. Is that kind of what you're thinking, or?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
obviously storing data and
Yeah,
pieces of information that you'll need
Yeah.
later on.
yeah, maybe digital forms,
Yeah.
smartphones, it's one thing, phone. You probably will need your phone, won't you, when you're driving the truck?
TV
radio. Probably the one thing that we have that we use day to day from a personal perspective, but also something that we would use in any job, basically, because your boss needs to ring you, you might need it for emergencies, you might need it for maths, you might need it for your emails, etc. So you probably find, similar to Linda and myself, you'll be carrying two phones, because your job generally will ask you to have a phone and then you've got your personal. You can get some phones these days that have like a dual SIM. So I know that there's a few people that I've worked with previously that like to have a dual SIM. And so what happens with that is if your work calls you, it comes up as a work call, or if your personal number rings and it comes up as a personal call. That way you've only got to carry the one around. Yeah. And then you've only got to worry about charging one phone and one phone going flat, but then you've got no backup. So, I've got the two, and I find sometimes with mine, when I'm out of service, I've got my personal phone, I think because I'm on Vodafone, when that's really crap, then I use my work phone, and it's Telstra, and it generally gets me through to the calls. So, a couple of things, I guess, to be mindful of. So we already covered that, so the types of devices you may use in the transport and logistics. So if you guys want to just use your digital device today, just Google and find something else on top of what we just talked about. So another device that you might use in the transport logistics industry.
What's going to happen when it all crashes though? When we go back to paper and pen,
Yeah.
which is more effective anyway.
Stupid to write by then.
You're never hard to read and write, because, you know, when I was like on your phone all the time and you're not using your hands actually to write, like, God, and you end up having like really messy handwriting because you're not doing it that often. But no, you would definitely go back to, so generally when we are using digital devices, you would have a backup system. So as you can see, we've got paperwork here as well. I've got a lot of my, I guess, hard copies on saved as a soft copy as well. So there's generally backups, particularly in the transport logistics industry. There's going to be backup systems in place as well. So it may be generated, and maybe that, you know, your device may still work, but if you've got no access to Wi-Fi, once you do get back in range, that they may assist you to send emails and things afterwards. Yeah.
I guess we do it just in life, don't we back up our photos, put them onto a USB or, you know,
Yeah.
we don't entirely trust technology.
Yeah.
Because we always make backups, so.
Yeah. And that's the thing, and it has been such a evolution of, you know, reading and writing and using paper and then saving it. And then we've gone to, you know, we used to save it on like a USB or a disc sometimes, like a floppy disc, and then went to a CD disc. Like they don't even have those inserts on laptops and things these days, you know what I mean? So as you know, setting up the projector, all laptops are made with very minimal, I guess, what do you call them? Like inputs, that's it. Yeah, so, but have you been able to find anything else that we haven't kind of mentioned through Google search of any other types of digital device that you may use?
Lock device,
CB?
lock device,
What's that one?
lock device.
A lock device, yeah. So this is something that I came across as well. So we took, I guess we've mentioned devices, and like we talked about tablets and phones and certain things that we use. So there's generally a management system as well, right? So you can have a tablet, but you've got the tablet and you sign on for work. You're like, well, how do I, you know, record my stock? How do I type in my hours? Where do I save my, you know, workbook sheets and that sort of thing? So generally, there's going to be some management systems, and lock devices is one of them. So locked, do you know what that stands for?
I'll tell you.
I did look at it yesterday, so I just
Real time traffic.
yeah. So it's
Part of that.
yeah, so it's like part of the contracting, but it's actually a management system. So it's one of Australia's leading management systems. So when you do, I guess, get a job and you're working in transport logistics, there'll probably be a specific management system that your organisation will use. So there's probably no doubt they will give you some training on that, and every organisation is most likely doing something a little bit different. So if you do move across jobs, be prepared that they're going to have a different management system that you're going to have to use. Most of them are pretty straightforward, particularly from the user end.
So yeah, so it's to monitor the location of shipment,
Yeah,
make sure it's there on time and it
Yeah.
turns up to it.
yeah.
So location of shooting, you think that would lost?
So for instance, a GPS tracking.
Yeah.
And MRID technology allows companies to monitor and locate shipment, quarterly, helping them organise routines and routes and reschedule.
Yeah, excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you think about being in the transport logistics industry, there's going to be obviously a warehouse, and maybe a dispatcher. So there's someone working on that load before you pick it up, and then you pick it up and you might have to take it to another warehouse or another location, and then it might get picked up, you know, by someone taking it to a ship or to an aeroplane, and it might go on from there. So management systems like that will actually track that load from the warehouse to wherever it needs to be in the end. Hence why it's quite important to have those systems, because as Andrew said, what happens if the system goes down, like how are you going to track? And then on the other side to that, like how can one person track that entire thing? And that's when it comes back to supply chain, like there's lots of different people along this entire journey that are tracking that order. So how do we go and ensure that it's being tracked all the way to the correct destination?
But as you're saying about the crashing and all that too,
Yeah,
the trucks will crash at the same time because
Yeah.
they're all computers.
yeah, yeah.
You know, so is there really any thought put into computers?
Exactly.
Well, good question. And that's probably a question for the higher selves. But no, it's probably a good question when you do get a job in the transport logistics industry. Definitely ask them, like if they're going to tell you this is the system that you're going to be using when, you pick up an order, I need you to do this. You know what? Awesome.
In that position, you're going to also need to stay to them that where are the closest landlines so that
Yeah.
everything does shut down. At least
Absolutely.
you're still
Yeah.
able to contact.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is the contingency plan? What is my next step if this happens? What if I am driving and I'm absolutely driving on another floor and out of range for hours and hours on end? Well,
You've got the video.
That's why you have the
Satellite phone.
satellite, yes.
Yeah, once everything in PH, you don't have any.
And you need
Then you
to.
just use your brain, you go back to old school,
And yes,
That's why I say that video put in place with landlines.
go to the destination, go to a return back, where you came from.
and they'll have a policy on that, right?
Yeah,
They'll have their.
yeah. And there's probably going to be truck stops, do you know what I mean, along the way that may have access to those landlines. And if you've got a management system and they know, okay, well, Chris, it's going to take him 5 hours to get from here to here. We know that 4 out of those 5 hours is out of range. So he's expected to be be at B spot like by whatever 5 o'clock. If he's not there at 5 o'clock back in range, hey, what's going on? So it's an expected time, do you know what I mean? So
So you answered Glenn's question, that's where they got black chain. Which backs up everything you said, so it's called black chain for supply chains and transport. So if something goes down, transport logistics industry is able to enhance transport and security. But if everything shuts down on you, it's like the black boxes with planes. So when
right,
planes crash down, this thing's called black chain. So it goes back to that and they have a box.
Bit racist.
So
yes,
it's what it
The
is.
use of AI, digital and computers, robots.
absolutely, yeah. So that's something we'll probably mention in a bit. Blockchain. So there are blockchain courses as well. So there's, I know Soterra, they do a blockchain course, which is a short course in specifically that type of training. And if you do get a job, obviously in transport logistics, there might be something that your employee wants you to do. They might have a range of short courses for you after that as well. But yes, AI and what was the other thing you said, sorry?
Robotic conveyancing,
Yeah. Tell us a bit more about robotic conveyancing.
I'd say one of the docks.
Yeah.
Like Port of Brisbane, I know that, I work there, and he says, I think you said it from weeks back, or last week.
Oh, Dave told us.
Sorry?
Dave told us.
Dave, sorry, no, but the other trainer.
Yeah.
He's informing us that Port of Brisbane, it's all artificial intelligence, so
Yeah,
rather than basically say there's not one human.
Not human, no.
wow.
So, yeah.
Interesting. But they're always going to need a truck driver, right? Because, they talk about automatic things and this and that, but apparently not.
That's all, that's the.
Fuck tells.
Some say 40,000 children have done typical stuff.
And,
Cobalt.
when I was doing research on this one device that I found was really quite interesting, it's called a smart cap. And I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but what it is, it's like it's a device that you actually wear on your head. And it doesn't need to be worn all the time, but it can be worn to measure the brain frequencies. And it helps to assist you with fatigue. And if you're doing really long trips and things like that, it can kind of pick up and start alerting you to go, hey, your neurons are throwing certain alerts, and then it might say you need to pull over and rest. So that was something interesting that when I was researching this subject, and particularly in the transport industry, that was something that came up. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool, the science behind that.
Someone told me just couple of days ago about some companies insist on cameras in the cabin.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
detect the alarm. So
Yeah, well, some events have,
yeah,
you scan your eyes in and they text.
yeah.
And they give you pre-warnings and those are the ones they shut the system down. You have to get to that as well. Yeah, that's it. Same expense and
So I'm just going to continue to flick through because just be mindful that we have 40 minutes for this presentation. So as much as these conversations are really awesome, I'm just mindful of what I still would like to cover with you guys. So here are some things that I research and things that I came up with. So CCTV, some employers or organisations have that. Maybe it might not so much be on when you're in the truck, but more so maybe when you're loading and that sort of thing. And if you do come across that, don't even think of it as, hey, they're watching me, they're spying on me. It's more from, I guess, a safety perspective as well. If any accidents occur during that time, then obviously there's, you know, a backup evidence there to go to. GPS is something that you're always going to use because you need to work out where you're going to. If you have regular runs and routes, you probably won't need to use that. But again, not only does it tell you the way to go, it can actually tell you the quickest way as well. And these days it picks up speed cameras, crashes, or any kind of, you know, traffic instances there as well. Digital displays, some vehicles actually have like a digital display on the front, so you can type that in there. Load boards, brake machining, satellite dishes, which we talked about, CB, I think you mentioned that. Radio, Bluetooth headsets as well. So sometimes you might have a headset in if you've got someone that needs to liaise with you while you're in the truck. Dash cam and a smart pack device out there as well. So ergonomics, I normally look at this when we're talking about perhaps ergonomics in the classroom or ergonomics when you're in an environment where you're looking at digital devices. And I put this up there because it's mostly like, you know, you're sitting down at a computer. I can get stuck on a computer all day. There's probably days where you've had that you're in front of a computer, you know, for 8 hours. It's going to be similar to truck driving, right? So you need to, like, you stand up, stretch, move about, and ensure that, you know, you're having regular breaks and things. So ergonomics, it actually is a study of the relationship between people and their tools of operation. So my tool of operation would be a laptop, your tool of operation as a truck driver would be your truck, and other things within the truck. So there's 3 types of ergonomics: physical, cognitive, and organisational. So when we talk about this, there's certain things that affect our physical and then our mind as well. So if you're not moving about, obviously your body's going to get stiff. If you're not, you know, stimulated, then it's going to affect your cognitive and organisational as well. If you're staying in one spot, then much is going to happen, is it? But I've got a little video which is not too much on digital devices, but it does cover off your ergonomics in the truck. So let me just play it in. If it works, I'm going to do a test. It's time loading, so we'll just skip past that. If we've got time at the end of the presentation, I'll flick to it and I'll grab it on YouTube. Alrighty, so we talked about ergonomics in the truck, which I'll take back to that video at the end. But ergonomics in the depot, so as well as driving, you're probably going to have to go into the depot, into the office. Things to be mindful of are all up here. So this also goes when you're in the classroom, right? So make sure that your chair is comfortable and upright. Fingers, legs crossed. Sometimes we don't have a say in this, but if you do have the opportunity to go and buy yourself a proper chair, there's things that you look at. You can see the difference in this chair here. The green one goes up and down. It's got some
Like,
maneuvers here. You can adjust it back in the front. So if you were going to buy a chair that you were sitting in for quite some time, look at those different options and see what's the most suitable for you. And that's something too that when you are in the truck as well, that you know you want to make sure that your seat is comfortable. So if you've got a pillow, if you've got a recliner back support, all that sort of thing. Footrest. If you're working behind a desk, it needs to be adjustable. Making sure your screen is at a good height as well. Keyboard and mouse, make sure they're either situated on the right side and easily accessible.
And
Exactly, ergonomic. So other things that we are not too physical, but you need to be mindful of are the lights, the aircon and heating, and also the environment and the external noise. So these are things that in a classroom you might think, "But I can't, you know, the aircon it's too cold, can you turn it off?" Or "No, I turn the heater on." And when you've got a large class of people, like everyone's going to have different, you know, body heat, body temperature and stuff like that. So these are some things that we would be mindful of. I was going to say review our classroom. How's the setup in here? Is there anything that you guys would change with this setup? Yes.
seats, chairs,
Seats, yeah.
air
Sorry.
conditioning. No,
Yeah.
air conditioning.
They removed yours. Yeah, so there's one air conditioning and it's quite a large room, so you probably would need another air conditioning.
That's on.
Or the positioning, yeah, perfect for you. The lines are kind of headed down the middle, so they have thought about that. I guess it's not too much external noise, but it probably can get a little bit noisy if you've got people out here, etc. Yeah. So this guy reminded me of Mr. Bean. I don't know why, but he looks like he's just so fed up with his phone and he can't log in. He's like not even looking at it. Annoyed. What do you like?
They do lots of.
Is he Andrew?
I don't know.
Get on to your major.
So we're looking at logging on to a digital device. Now, in most instances, we would like to think that it's quite easy to log on. But I will ask you, when you guys got your iPads or your computers when you're logging on for major training, did you find it hard to log in and get into your search tree when you're logging into that class test? Yeah. So, yeah, excellent. So they're things that, like, you know, sometimes we don't know what the challenge might be, particularly going to a classroom or going into work, right? So you might be like, oh, you might go into a depot and you might got to upload this quickly, or I've got to scan this, and you get in there and you might go, all right, I've got an hour to get back on the road, and then there might be some admin you've got to do. So when you're logging onto the device, thinking in mind that your mind is prepared for what you have to log on to, so getting your password. You know, if it's a Face ID or things like that, so what do you need? Do you need Wi-Fi? So these are all things to be mindful of. Is there a joke that I'm not part of?
I just took our class about an hour to log into our computers.
So thanks for sharing that. So what were the struggles that you had with that? So was Wi-Fi? Was it?
The individual,
Yeah.
I hate computers, full stop.
Yeah, that's the thing, like everyone's got a different knowledge around computers.
Yeah.
And even sometimes when you have got a knowledge, like I like to think that I normally know what I can do setting this up. But when you're on the spot sometimes and you're like, oh shit, you're ruffling around to try and get it done, you can just, the most simplest things just go out of your mind. And it might just be this step by step, you've got to do this and then this and then this. If you don't do it in that exact order, then sometimes you go to shit, right? So it's kind of like, yeah, you've got to do it in a specific order. So keep it simple. So this is the group discussion which we're kind of having anyway. So talk us through what device you have and what login options you use. So do you guys use a PIN when you get into your phone, or do you have like face detection or fingerprint, or all of the above if you're really secretive? All of the above?
I use the PIN number only,
Yeah.
due to previous relationships. I don't use face detection or fingerprint detection. Not that I had anything to hide, but
I use fake.
she plans to try transferring money out of my bank account, and one of my security devices was my fingerprint scan.
Yeah, wow. Interesting, yeah.
I
So,
normally use face detection.
yeah,
Sometimes a mother and daughter might
yeah.
have their signatures.
My daughter's on the phone for each other, yeah,
Close up like that and it opens it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think in that situation, if you know, you're getting like someone stalking you and chasing you in a car park or something and then. You
What if
think
it's
it's not, and you haven't got time to.
Mine's voice activated for that reason.
Oh, that's good.
So if someone grabs me, I can just go voice activate and then I go forward to like
Yeah.
loudspeaker.
It's good.
I'll tell you something that happened to me last week, and I found it quite interesting while we're talking about devices and emergencies. One of my friends, she's a darling, but she's kind of, just living the leisurely life at the moment. And she was down at Fingal Beach, we're having a great old time with a new puppy dog, and I get this emergency text message and pinpoint location. Your friend has you down as emergency contact. She's attempted to call 000 on numerous occasions and is in an emergency situation. Please call 000 and report to the police. So then it drops me her pinpoints, which is in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, down near Fingal Beach. And I'm like, what the hell? I've never seen this before. What do I do? So I have to quickly arrange 000 and I'm like, I've got this. Is this a thing? Yes, it is. It's a thing.
She's shaking the phone.
Well, no, she wasn't shaking her phone, but she was in the sun enjoying the weather and she's trying to take some selfies or something and snapshots, and she's pressed the one button too many times. And it's 3 times on the top button, which called 000. Now, this is the high-tech iPhone, right? And iPhone.
Selfies must be a teenager or
And what
twenty.
happens if someone rings 000 on the phone, as an emergency, so she had me listed as an emergency contact. If she rings 000, her emergency contact gets this message, and then I ring 000, right? So I did, and I said, my friend's out here, she's got the dog, I don't know, maybe she's had a fall, which is pretty adventurous. And they're like, oh, and I've tried to call my friend, I tried to text, no answer. Did my heart sunk? I was in the middle of attendance. I'm like, I haven't got time to go out and go down to Fingal Beach and find her. Anyway, couldn't find location. The location was a little bit off. So even the police, when I ran 000, they didn't get the location and coordinates. But here's the thing, as amazing as that technology is, what happens? This is my question. What happens if I had it set up on my phone? I rang 000 because my friend was in drama. And then if I rang 000 and it rang my emergency contact, then they worry about me. Yeah, that's right. But it just keep ringing.
Too many.
How many calls might 000 get based on that? Well, she was absolutely fine in the sunlight. And then for the next 2 hours, oh, she's at Bully, she's at BWS, and kept telling me where she was until she went into her phone and said, this is not an emergency. I was like, wow.
Stupid device.
Technology, iPhones, the latest technology, but, it's kind of like, well, how many calls might 0 have got? Now, she told me she's got 7 people listed on her emergency contacts. Her sister got a call, her grandmother got a call. Everyone's like, it's fine, that's been Kylie. She was actually fine. So just a waste of service anyway, but just, just thought I'd add that little piece in. Brings back to passwords here. If you are going to have a password on your phone, make sure it's a strong combination of letters and numbers, and maybe use a symbol or something as well. They say not to use it as like your date of birth or name or something that's easy, so that the next partner can get into your bank accounts. So keeping something that's not easily replicated. So now we're just having a look at basic features. Basic features of a device or phone. So it's probably going to have settings, camera, GPS, maps, different applications as well. So you set it up to suit you. Does anyone know the difference between hardware and software?
Mhm.
We kind of touched on it before, didn't we? So hardware is all the things that you've got, and then software is your things like your management systems, your applications, correct things like your Gmail, Word, PowerPoint, so anything that you might add onto your device. So customizing your device. This is the picture of one of the devices that you may use in a truck. It's got a few different things here, looking at check-in, check-out, interceptions, remarks. So this is like a management system. I don't know which one it is, but it just shows off duty, start time, end time, etc. So it's got a few different things there. I know it's from the internet, it's just so it's a little bit blurry.
That's an ambulance one.
Look, I'm not really sure. It's just an example. But yeah, any vehicle or organisation is going to have something similar, right? So these are the sort of things that you're going to be with. But you know, you can customise it. So customise it to suit you. Sometimes it might be your dash display, you know, what comes up on the screen. If you're using something consistently, you might want to have that saved as a favourite or that type of thing. It's a little bit of a fun chat. What do you think are the top apps used in Australia?
YouTube, right?
That's top, yep.
Social media.
Google.
Yeah, yep.
Google.
Facebook,
Yeah.
Tim.
Whatnot.
I don't know, I just think Tinder on. I don't know. Yeah, so really interesting. So a lot of these social media platforms, when I was doing some research to this, MyGov was actually number one. Yeah. Number 3 was Australia Post. Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, and then up there in the top 10 was Coles and Woolies as well. So I think since COVID, a lot of people have moved towards like the online shopping and stuff and ordering. So they're quite up there, as well as your obviously social media apps, Google, your maps and that sort of thing. What apps might you need for driving? I think you said Waze. Yeah. Google Maps, yep, excellent, yeah. There may be other things like,
Link.
Spotify.
yeah, exactly, you might listen to a book, an audio book or something.
Linked.
Linked, yeah, you might be on to Linked, yep, you might be on Seek if you're not happy in your job. So yeah, that's pretty cool. There's also things like weather, like if I know if I was going to take off in a heavy truck, I'd probably check the weather and go, what am I in for? What do I need to be prepared for? Is it going to be shit? Is there going to be rain? Like, is it best time to go in? Do I need to charge them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we were French.
That's but this is more just like a bit of a research piece that I found is quite interesting. So digital technology used in transport logistics. And I am going to read this from my screen because it's easier than out there. So one of the most obvious ways IT has benefited the transport logistics is by reducing costs. So by using different systems and management systems, they're able to reduce costs on a number of different things. And what things do you think that using IT might reduce the cost of? Loading times. People, absolutely. Yep. Paper, printing. Processes, yep. Absolutely. Management systems. I think the biggest one here is people. Whoever said that, yeah. So having proper IT systems in place that can track, that can upload, deliver, and manage all of that, they're going to reduce costs there. And having digital technology as well, it improves customer service. So things like, sending through receipts, sending through orders, getting order confirmations, You know, you might be on your way, hey mate, I'm an hour away, so you might prep the warehouse guys because you're coming in, so improve customer service. And of course, the last point here is increased efficiencies. So making processes, I think you mentioned that, Linda, you know, a little bit easier, etc. Anything else that you think you know, IT has brought to the transport logistics industry, or any other comments around how you see it might continue to change or grow or improve?
Just talking about people before, it's reducing people for the workforce.
Correct.
At the end of the day, so
Yeah.
is it really doing any justice?
Especially in your pick
No.
and pack of the.
Yeah. I remember when I was, and then I guess bring it back a little bit to go, if you work for an organisation that is about having people to drive the truck, having people to talk to you face to face, having someone that can do the job, there are businesses out there, particularly in the trucking industry, family-run businesses and old school, like I say old school, that's what we talk about, no. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so there are some parts that you go, yes, that's awesome. Maps and, you know, your orders and whatever that might be. But there's some other things you go, you know what, I'm going to change that. I would still want it to be a specific way. I know that there's a lot of talk about AI and someone mentioned it before, but there's like that chat, what is it, chat TP?
The TBT.
That's a chat. I got an email reply from a property manager, and I know that they're a particular race and their communication is quite limited and their language is quite limited because English is their second language, right? And so I get this email from them and I was like, whoa, like this is like law, you know, and I know that it was the AI that was used. It wasn't that person writing me an email. It was something that person had plugged into something and was able to deliver a whole bunch of words that were repetitive that said the same message. But it took my time to read it, and I was like, oh. So in some ways it can be great. In some ways it's probably not useful. So I guess point taken is use digital technology to suit you as an individual. When you're going into the workplace, and might be questions that you ask, is there a high digital tech to this role? What is going to be required for you? If it doesn't align with you to work for an organisation that's got really high tech, you know, bits and pieces, then you might go, this is not for me. You know, so these are all questions that you can ask quite early on when you go get a job, because unfortunately, it is the way of movement. There are going to be things that change, but that's just something to keep in mind. I guess just to summarise as well, you're going to need assistance when you're on the road. We talked about systems crashing and things like that. Linda, I chose this guy here. I thought you might think he's pretty hot, the co-worker.
Yeah.
It's like with a hat. I couldn't find Steve. I did. Sorry. So if you're on the road and things turn to shit, you can maybe call a co-worker. You might know another person that's on the road as well. You might be able to use a CV radio. You might be able to call Nick.
RACQ.
RACQ, yeah, that's it. Yep, excellent. You might be able to call your team leader, supervisor. You might have someone in dispatch that you might be able to work with. Or sometimes if you can't get the answers from these internally, you can go to like the corporate help desk. We have one for FX, and they're like an IT digital help desk. So I guess that's everything in the presentation today. Was there any questions, comments, or anything that you would like to share before we finish up? Yeah. Well, thank you for listening and engaging and being part of the presentation. It's been good to have a two-way learning session. So thank you very much.
You were 2 minutes over time then.
Was I?
No.
Right. Did you time it for me?
No.
That's my point.
It will. I haven't.
Did you have to let any feedback?
Yeah, I'll put that. Just a minute. I'm going to turn the recording off. No, it's not on.
Which one? Page or- Someone else. Someone else.